So, because I'm already free and don't know that and don't understand that, I take myself to be limited. I need knowledge, self-knowledge. The only thing that's free is the self. And there is only the self. And so I can't be anything other than the self. So I must be free. But I don't feel free. Right? Isn't it? It's all very well and good to say that I'm free, but I want to feel free. Well, tell me what freedom feels like. See? Tell me what yourself feels like. Is it an experience like an object, like you could experience an object, or is it a different kind of experience? Well, it's a different kind of experience. The joy that you get from an object is what? Is just the joy of your own self as it reflects in the object. But that joy is going on independent of the presence or absence of objects. And the only access to that happiness or that joy or that satisfaction or that fullness and completeness is through knowledge, because it's already a fact. I'm already free and I'm already happy. I just don't know it. And therefore I need a means for knowledge. Knowledge doesn't just fly in out of the sky and talk to you. It comes through a method. Now, if you want to see my body, you need eyes. Their eyes are a means of knowledge for the body, for objects. If I want to see that light, I need eyes. They're my means of knowledge. The light is there. What I gain knowledge when I open my eyes, then I gain the knowledge of the light. It appears in my mind as light knowledge. If you want to know what I'm feeling, what's your means of knowledge? Can you smell or taste or touch my feelings? No, you can't. You need a heart. Everybody's got a heart, a feeling function. There's an instrument in every human being that allows them to gain knowledge of feelings, emotions. We call it the heart. If you want to understand what I'm saying, you can't see what I'm saying with your eyes or feel what I'm saying with your heart. You need another instrument to understand what I'm saying. What is that instrument? Intellect. You have an intellect. That's what the intellect is for. It's for gaining knowledge of ideas. Ideas are objects. Feelings are objects. And sense objects are objects. Sense physical objects are objects. So for all of our basic experiences in life, we have only three instruments. We have senses. We have what? A mind. A mind means feelings. In our system, we call the feeling function the mind, and we call the thinking function the intellect, or buddhi. That's the extent of experience. Sense objects, emotions, and thoughts. That's all the objects there are. The objects, all of the thoughts, all the feelings, and all the objects are already present when I appear here. I'm only able, when I appear here as a baby, all the objects are in place. There's a whole pool of feelings and emotions, there's a pool of ideas, and there's all kinds of physical objects for my enjoyment. But I need these instruments to enjoy them. Experience involves what? A subject, an object, and an instrument of knowledge, an instrument of experience or perception or knowledge.
It's so complicated to make the difference between mind and when you say that you are feeling with your heart.
That's okay, never mind, just think of it as heart.
Sorry?
You just use the word heart. Never mind.
Mind or heart is the same.
Yeah, the same, okay? I know in the West it doesn't work very well because for us mind means intellect here in the Western cultures. But you'll see this is a science, and there's a reason for each one of these words. And it's a little different. The way we understand things is a little different. The way we understand certain words is a little different from the way Vedanta uses them. And I'll explain them when we start to explain this chart. This chart is the whole mandala of your existence. This is a picture of you. Anyway, so for objects, I need instruments of knowledge. I need a body, I need a heart, and I need an intellect, or mind, if you want to call it mind. Now, those instruments work well for objects, no doubt. But when it comes to me, to consciousness or awareness, we'll call it consciousness or awareness, it's the same. I use them interchangeably, okay? When it comes to consciousness or awareness, those instruments don't work. You cannot smell yourself, taste yourself, touch yourself, hear yourself, or feel yourself. It's not possible. You cannot emotionally feel yourself. And you can't think yourself either. Why? Because the self-awareness is what? Outside of the field of experience. These objects, the physical, the senses, the mind, the heart, and the intellect are all in the realm of experience, are in the realm of time. And the self is beyond time. It's timeless. It's immortal. So none of these instruments that we have here, these three instruments, the gross body and the subtle body, in the subtle body are the feeling and the thought functions, and the ego. Those things only work in this world, in the samsara, in the world of change and time. They don't work outside it. See? See, another reason why you're not going to experience yourself. Because yourself is beyond experience. And these instruments are just for experience. Think about this now. This is a very, very important point to get. Because we've been told, well, you can experience yourself. Why cannot you experience yourself? Because the self can never be an object. The scripture says, the self cannot be objectified. Just try an experiment in your mind now. Try to turn yourself into an object so you can see yourself as an object. Try to do that. Can you do that? Do you ever leave the position of the witness and turn and become an object outside that you can see? Or does this object outside that you think you are, does it actually see you?
Yes. Everything what I see is me.
That's right. But as what? As awareness or as this person that I think I am?
As objects which appear in the non-dual reality.
In you.
In me.
In you. That's right. Right. Now you're now, but this person doesn't see this awareness. Yeah. Understand, huh? Because awareness isn't an object. This person can only see objects. See, when you think you're a person here, then you're stuck in the world of objects. You're always in a transaction with an object, and you have instruments for dealing with the objects. Bhagawan, or the Lord, or consciousness, or the Creator, or Maya, whatever you want to call it, set it up that way. So the subject has these three instruments: the intellect, the heart, and the body, the physical body, the senses, and these three, and the objects are already there, available. The thoughts, world of thoughts is there, world of emotions is there, and the world of physical objects is there. So it's possible for you as a person to experience objects and know objects. That's not a problem. See? But these instruments are gross, and they're turned outward, as this gentleman points out. All the three instruments of experience are pointed towards the objects. They're not pointed toward the subject, toward me. So how are they, even if they were capable of seeing the self, they couldn't see the self because they're turned outward. They're supposed to be turned outward because that's the field in which they exist. It's their dharma or their nature to what? To know the objects. So it looks like, as far as self-knowledge is concerned, God made a mistake. God gave us a self, huh? But He didn't give us any instruments for knowing ourselves. See, for me to try to think the self or feel the self or see the self would be like you trying to see ultraviolet light with your eyes, or hear or infrared. With your eyes you can see so many colors, huh? So much light. But beyond what you can see, there's infrared and ultraviolet. You can't see those with your eyes because your eyes only gain knowledge of a small band of the light spectrum. The light spectrum is very big, and we can only see a tiny little bit of that. So even if you try to see ultraviolet light or you try to see infrared light, you can't do it. It's not possible. You need extra instruments for doing that. They've designed instruments that extend the range of our vision beyond what? Beyond our own physical vision, and so we can gain knowledge of the ultraviolet and infrared. So for me, for this person that I think I am, with these instruments, I'm never going to know this. It's just impossible. It's beyond beyond thought, beyond feeling, and beyond experience, beyond sensation. Bad news, huh? Bad news.
But how do you know about awareness when you can see or feel?
Yeah, how do you know about it? Yeah, well, you know about it because it's you. But that's tricky. That's right. We'll get to that. But nobody... Okay, let me ask you this.
Simple words, please.
Yeah. Do you know that you exist?
No, I don't know that I exist. I don't know that.
You don't know that you exist.
I don't know that.
Oh, you're the first person I ever met. Of course you know that you exist. How do you know that you don't know? Because you exist.
I'm not sure that I exist.
What?
I'm not sure.
But you, okay, that's okay, but do you know that you're not sure?
Yes, maybe it's a thought.
Yeah, it's a, it's a,
I'm not sure.
yeah.
I think it's maybe a thought.
That's right. Now, there was an I that said, I think it's maybe a thought. Did that I that said, I think it's maybe a thought, does that I exist or not? Sure, it existed. I heard it. You heard it. You said it, and I heard it. We all heard just that I. But you can't have conversation unless you exist. If you don't exist, how are you going to have a conversation or a thought? Huh? You can't have a conversation or a thought if you don't exist. So there's no question about your existence. Okay, let me ask you this then. Oh, you don't like that? Okay. Then tell me this. Are you conscious?
There is consciousness. To say I am conscious, that's language.
Well, okay, but we can take care of the language. There is consciousness, but how do you know there's consciousness unless you're conscious? You're just saying that there is consciousness. Now, you can't say that unless you're conscious. If you're not conscious, you can't say that. If I give you a pill and put you out, you can't say that. So you're definitely conscious and you definitely exist. This is the first time I've ever had this argument. Because it's clear to you that you do exist and that you're aware. I'm aware and I am. I exist. You think you exist. You believe you exist. Everybody does, because we do exist. So this self that we're talking about is not unknown to us. Because it's ourself. It's who we are. But what? We're not clear about what it is. Our knowledge about who we are is not clear. Yeah, understand? And since we can't get knowledge, you can't tell me, I don't know about it. See? I was taught by what? I was taught Vedanta, and then I understood very clearly what it was. But it wasn't like I figured it out on my own, or that I felt it or experienced it or anything like that. Understand? I was taught what it was, and then I understood very clearly what it was. I can know it. You see, now how does it work? How does knowledge of this work? If the instruments I have don't work, then God made a mistake and God doesn't want us to know who God is. Let's call this God for now. Let's call consciousness God, just for now. Consciousness is not God, but we'll let it be for now. So it looks like God created us, but God doesn't want us to know God. Everybody says there's a God. The religious people all say they're a God. They don't seem to know what it is. But they seem to say, we happen to know what God is. And we can prove it to you. We can show you what God is. But not by what? By getting you to feel it, or to think it, or to experience it. Because if reality is non-dual and it's all consciousness, then you're always experiencing God all the time. Isn't it? You are always God and you're always experiencing God all the time. Not a problem. if reality is non-dual, and we've already shown you what that means, that it is in fact non-dual, then how am I going to get, what's preventing me from understanding that I am consciousness or God? What's keeping me from understanding that? Why is it so hard to understand? Because, yes.
I would say habits
Yeah.
are so hardwired into us that we always fall into old habitual patterns which we got trained from childhood on during school and so on. And our teachers always said lived in this black and white duality realm, and so it's hard to get this trained out of it.
Yeah, that's right. Beliefs, opinions, not knowledge. Beliefs and opinions that I never examined, that mother and father and the teachers and the school and the television and everybody what? Fed me about who I am. So I came to believe that I am this body, this physical body, that I am my feelings, that I am my thoughts, and that's the end of it. I was never told that I'm something more than these three instruments. I was never told.
I was never told that I am feelings and thoughts. I was taught that I have feelings and thoughts.
Well, that's good. That's
a normal...
No, not really, because...
Everybody has.
Well, if everybody, that's right, everybody has feelings, but most people think they are their feelings. If I say you're a jerk, in a nasty way, you will think, it won't bother you at all?
It will, but I will not think I am anger. I will say,
No, that's right. No, but you see, you must be a realized person. Yeah, because that's knowledge. Knowledge is that I have feelings, not that I am my feelings. But if your feelings are hurt, then you feel that you're hurt, don't you? That's only because you...
Then I feel that.
Then I feel that I'm hurt. Why? Because I've identified myself with my feelings. You can't be hurt. It's not possible to hurt the self. The self it cannot be destroyed. It cannot change. There's no thought or feeling. As it says in the Bhagavad Gita, fire doesn't wet it, fire doesn't burn it, water doesn't wet it, weapons can't kill it. It's eternal and indestructible. You cannot be hurt. These instruments here are all in the world of duality and pleasure and pain, and you can feel pleasure and you can feel pain. You can be hurt and so on here. But as far as yourself goes, no. Because yourself is free of all objects and all experiences. Consciousness, you are pure. Awareness, you have no feelings. You're just awareness. The feelings belong to what? The subtle body, the gross body, and the causal body. That's where their feelings and thoughts and so forth come from. They belong here. They don't go here. This is nirvana. It's free of feelings. It's samadhi. It's beyond. Everything is equal here. There's no change. Okay, now, so the point is this, that the instruments I have for knowing the self are not adequate. They don't work. So then it seems like I can't know the self, can I? I can't know who I am. Wrong, I can. Because consciousness revealed a science called Vedanta, which will what? Reveal to me my nature as awareness. Now, how does this science work? Just like if you want to know what E equals mc squared means, you have to what? You have to learn science. You can read in some book it means energy equals mass times the speed of light. You can do that. That's fine. But you don't really understand what that means. You have to know what mass is and energy is and the speed of light is. And you have a huge body of knowledge that needs to be taught to you. That's science. And there's a body of knowledge for knowing awareness also. And how does this knowledge work? See? Well, it doesn't give me a self. It doesn't give me an experience of the self. It doesn't prove that I exist. All it does, all of those things are known to me. All it does is what? Remove my ignorance about myself. All of the funny ideas that I've picked up from mom and pop and the government and the TV and the gurus and all of this stuff. I picked up all kinds of notions and ideas that don't stand up to common sense and reason. And that's what Vedanta is, what? A means of knowledge for this. It's not a means of knowledge for this, for the world. We're not interested in telling you about your feelings. Oh, we can analyze your feelings and your thoughts and your perceptions and karma and all those things. We've analyzed all that also. But that's not our purpose. Our purpose is to give you knowledge of yourself. Because knowledge of yourself is going to set you free of what? Of this. Of your dependence on objects. This is the world of objects. And knowledge of this, that you're this, is going to free you from dependence upon objects for your happiness. Understand? We don't giving you anything. We're just taking away your ignorance. And we're not taking it away. You're going to let it go when you're able to follow the logic of these teachings. Okay, when I said earlier, when I explained duality, remember we had the pen? And I said the reality is that when we analyze perception, that you can see that the pen is not over here, that it's actually in me. It's just a thought in me, and the thought's made out of me, and therefore there's no separation between myself and the objects. You see, he went through the logic. Many people, and many people around the world for years have understood this clearly. Just based upon their own experience. I'm not telling you it's like this. I don't say believe this. Please don't believe it. Don't believe it. If you believe anything I say, then you haven't understood. We're not here to make you believe something. We're not trying to convince you of anything or sell you some philosophy or something like that. Not at all. We're just using this method, right, so that you get in touch with what you already know. Huh? You see, when we unfolded this teaching slowly, it became clear that you understood that what duality was and what non-duality is. Before it wasn't clear. Now it's clear. I didn't ask you to believe it. I'm not giving you a test on it. I don't collect money for this. I get nothing out of it. I just love this science. And I teach it as it's meant to be taught. So the way Vedanta works, and this is why it's hard. I said this yesterday. Was it last night? I said, it's a very difficult thing. Because it's going to challenge all of your beliefs and opinions. And you see, I'm very identified with my beliefs and my opinions. I think that what is a belief or an opinion, I think that's a fact. I think that's knowledge. My whole identity is tied up with what I think and feel and believe. My identity is that. And when we actually investigate who we are, that whole identity that's built up around my beliefs and opinions and experiences and so forth, interpreting experiences and so forth, that whole identity is going to what? Disintegrate, dissolve. It breaks down slowly, slowly. And a whole new identity is going to emerge for you. Something that you already are is going to become clear to you. And that will set you free of what? Attachment to this limited little concept of myself. That's what we mean by freedom or moksha. So, Yeah. Yes, sir.
And the term Turiya, would it fit too? Turiya?
Well, it depends on what you mean by Turiya.
Well, the fourth state from the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas.
Well, yeah, when we get to that, you'll see. But no, Turiya doesn't mean the fourth state. There's no fourth state. This is not a state. A state is something that's subject to change, isn't it? A states come and go. But yourself, it doesn't come and go, so it's not a state. But many people have read the Mandukya Upanishad, where the word Turiya is used, and after they've explained the waking, dream, and deep sleep state, they use the word Turiya, and people think it means a fourth state. There's no mention that it's a fourth state at all in the Upanishad. It actually says the fourth, it means a fourth factor. It doesn't mean a fourth state. There is some factor other than these three states because of which these three states are known, the waking, dream, and deep sleep state. And that's called awareness or consciousness. But it's not a state. We'll get to that as we go, slowly, slowly. We're talking about our means of knowledge now. See? Now this is a very critical, difficult point. Understand? Because what it means is that you're not going to be the expert on who you are. See? For you to proceed with this teaching, you have to surrender your idea that you're the boss here. That you can decide who you are. You have to open yourself up to this means of knowledge and let Vedanta tell you who you are.
Isn't that a belief?
No. No, it's not a belief. Because it's just a means of knowledge. This is a pen. You see a pen, you experience a pen, right? Is that a belief?
Somebody told me that's a pen.
Okay, but never mind the name. Never mind the name, but what do you experience here?
Something.
Yeah, something. Well, that's something. Leave the name off. That's just a direct experience. There's not a belief involved in this at all. It's just, if your eyes are open and this object is here, then you're going to experience that directly. So, the same is true for the self. The self is always present, but your eyes need to be open. And the way the eyes are opened, we call it the third eye. The way we open a different eye, not the physical eyes, but we open a third eye. The third eye is the knowledge that gives you access to awareness. Yes, Andreas.
Sometimes you say that Vedanta is a throwaway. So if you realize the self, Vedanta just pointed to the self.
Yeah.
Yes, the self, no, Vedanta is no more necessary.
That's right. That's absolutely right. This is like a Kleenex. You use a Kleenex and blow your nose and then you throw it away. Well, Vedanta is like that. You use Vedanta to what? Understand who you are and then you throw it away. We're not going to leave you with a bunch of beliefs. Understand, and opinions. We don't want that. Beliefs and opinions are the problem. We just leave you pure and whole and complete and pristine and aware and innocent as you really are. That's all. You don't have to do anything or say anything or be anything or make any statements at all. You don't have to think you're enlightened or unenlightened. You don't have any of that. You're just pure consciousness, pure awareness, pure spirit, you could say.
And if you're not the boss, you're not free.
What's that?
If you're not the boss, you're not free. You don't.
Well, that's right. You're not free. That's right. Absolutely. But you will become free, but you have to let Vedanta tell you show you what the truth is. So you have to surrender to this teaching. Or it's not going to work. If you say, well, I'll decide. If you have your own ego and your own view, it's okay. We're not trying to convince you. If you don't like this, you're free to leave. It's fine. If you want to be the boss, be the boss. But it doesn't work this means of knowledge doesn't work that way because what? It's impersonal. And it's not me that's the boss. I'm not the boss here. I'm just the guy that what? Teaches the science. I'm not telling you to do this or do that or trying to convince you of anything. I'm just using the logic of these teachings to reveal to you that your awareness and take away your ignorance about who you are. That's all I do. But temporarily, yes, you have to surrender yourself to the knowledge. Not to me. Okay, mind you, I'm not a guru. I'm just a teacher of Vedanta. So I don't tell you what to do, and I have nothing to do with you personally at all. Understand? I don't want to be the boss. The last thing I want to do is be powerful and be the boss and tell people what to do. I don't want that at all. I'm a free person. I'm free. So I'm free. I'm fine. See, so and people think, well, I don't want to surrender now. I want to use, Well, yes, you can. You can maintain your own discrimination, and we hope that you do maintain your discrimination. And you need to think about this independently on your own. But you'll never know whether or not this works unless you surrender your mind to it. How's it going to work? If every time, every statement we make, you say no, and you have a doubt, and you argue with it, then hey, fine. It won't work for you. So Vedanta is now listen. This is a big topic, an important topic. We haven't even got to our teaching yet. We may never get there till Tuesday or Wednesday. Who knows? Because to understand this teaching, there's all this preliminary information or knowledge we have to set it up so that it works. So to understand this teaching, I need to be qualified to understand this teaching. I need to understand the value of the teaching, and I need to understand how it works, and I need to be qualified for this teaching. I need more than just experience to get me here. And if I've experienced the self and I tell you there's a self, that's fine, isn't it? You say, oh yes, that's great. You're an honest man. You tell me there's a self, but it doesn't help you to get the self, does it? You say, well, what did you do? Well, I did this and that and the other thing. Go and do this, what I did, and maybe you'll understand. But it doesn't work like that, does it? My experience doesn't transfer to you. Only knowledge transfers. Knowledge we can share. Knowledge can come from one to the other, but experience stays the same. So I'm not teaching my experience or my belief or my opinion here. I don't care, honestly. I mean, I love this topic, and I'd hope that you'd all gain freedom from this. And many people do. But if you don't, I can't worry about it. If you do, I'm happy for you. If you don't, I'm still happy for you. Either way. Because I don't gain by this, you see. There's nothing in it for me except the love of teaching this science. That's all I do. So, I have to, for this, the knowledge of this, I need a means of knowledge, and Vedanta is a means of knowledge. It's impersonal. It didn't come from a mystic. It's not a philosophy. Mind you, we have to get rid of these ideas first. Because basically, how many of you have heard of the word Vedanta before? Quite a few.
From yoga.
Huh?
From yoga.
From yoga, yeah. You've heard of the word Vedanta, and usually Vedanta, how many have heard that it's a philosophy? Huh? See? It's not a philosophy. There's no philosophy involved in Vedanta at all. For the last, ever since Swami Vivekananda, about, what was it, about 100 years ago, they've got this notion that Vedanta is a philosophy. Vedanta is not a philosophy. This is why you might be suspicious. You should be suspicious of philosophies. Huh? Should be suspicious. Because philosophies are just what? The beliefs and opinions of individual people. Isn't it? They're just anybody. Albert Camus. He was, what was he? An existentialist. Remember existentialism? No, you probably don't, huh? It's maybe before, huh? Sartre, Camus, Heidegger, all these were existentialist philosophers. Aujourd'hui, maman est morte. Ou peut-être hier. Today, mom died. Or perhaps it was yesterday. He says in L'Étranger, and that was like the statement of his philosophy. It was called Dreadful Freedom. And it was existential. It was a big philosophy. The intellectuals were fascinated by it from about, what, 1930 to about 1960. It was a big deal. Everybody was only talking existentialism. And where is it today? Have you heard of it? Does anybody talk about it? No. It's forgotten. It's in the dung heap of history. What about communism? It's a philosophy. Engels and Marx. Some guys dreamed up this notion. Where is it today? There's no actual communism anymore. Maybe Albania, that's they still are communists now. China says they're communists, but they're not. Huh?
North Korea.
Yeah, North Korea, but they're not really communists either. No, you know. It was a lovely idea, and it was just a philosophy, and it attracted people for a while, and now it's finished. Vedanta is not a philosophy. It is not cooked up by human beings. See? That's why I like it. Huh? Because I don't trust people. People tell you so much bullshit. It's unbelievable. All the human beings always have an agenda. They always want something. They're trying to convince you of something and get you to buy something or change something or fix something or whatever. Religion, same story. It's not a religion. There's no religion involved in this. There's no philosophy involved in this. This is not human beings. This science was revealed by consciousness to certain people. It came to people, not from people. Like, for example, the discovery of electricity, or the discovery of penicillin. These are revelations. These aren't coming from within a person. There's a person sitting there, and suddenly they look at something, and they see something, and what? The knowledge comes. And it's independent of them. It comes from what? From beyond themselves, from awareness. And thousands, millions of people over time experienced and understood that they were consciousness or awareness. Seriously. This is not a really unique knowledge. If you just read the spiritual literature, they all tell you, I know this, I've experienced this, and so forth and so on. Everybody knows there's a spirit or consciousness. Well, not everybody, but most people have at some time in their lives had some deep experience of themselves, have got some knowledge that there is something beyond this world in their bodies and minds. And so out of that knowledge, this is collective knowledge of humanity. It's not personal knowledge, just like science. No person invented science, did they? All kinds of thousands of people did experiments, had revelations or gained knowledge, and then they put the whole thing together in what? In a body of knowledge called science, with a methodology, with a method. Scientific method of investigation. Yes, Andreas.
But you need qualifications.
Well, that's right. Just like, absolutely. But that's right, to understand it, just like a science. To understand E equals MC squared, you need qualifications. To be a doctor, you need qualifications. To be a lawyer, you need qualifications. To understand who you are, you need qualifications. Bad news, right? Isn't it? It's bad news. Why? Because I just want to come in and I want to get enlightened. I want instant enlightenment. I want it now. Huh? I could go to a satsang. I can get a hug with Amachi. I can go to Muji. I can do this and that and the other thing. And I should be able to get my enlightenment right now. I can get a Big Mac. I can buy an iPod. Why can't I get moksha? You know, huh? That's how people think. Huh? Yeah, I need to be qualified. Now, how did they come up with these qualifications? And the qualifications are what? Just a quality or a state of mind. The first basic qualification we've already covered. What is it? The understanding that there's no happiness in objects. That the joy I seek in objects is actually coming from me, that life is a zero-sum game. That's the first qualification. There are others. If I still am searching outside, then this is not going to work. I said that earlier. Understand? This is why it's hard, and this is why you may be arguing with what I'm saying in your mind now. Some people argue with it. Yeah, it's okay, I don't mind. But I can tell that you have resistance to the idea. Why? Because you don't want to believe that there's no joy in the objects. And maybe you don't believe that what? You are free. And that's fine. I mean, it's understandable. Yes, Andreas.
Can you tell anything about Mumukshutva?
Oh yeah, we'll come into that. Okay? Yes, absolutely. So, how did they come about these qualifications? Did a whole bunch of misty old sages with great long beards in India thousands of years ago say, only people with brown skin can understand this. Only people with long hair can understand this. Only Hindus can understand. No. It wasn't, nobody made up their mind that this is a qualification and we can throw you out if you're not qualified. If you come and it doesn't make sense, it means you're not qualified. If it makes sense, you're qualified. But how did they come up with these qualifications? You need to understand this. This search for a freedom has been going on for a long, long time. A very long time. For thousands of years, people have been seeking to get free of samsara. It's hard living here, not knowing who you are. It's painful. This is a whole picture of Christ on the cross. You know what that's about? That's about samsara. The samsara is a cross. And they will stick you on it and you will die on that cross. It's painful living here. This always feeling limited and incomplete and inadequate, full of desire, sick with desire, and tied to this dying animal, this body. It's hard living here. Understand this. So people have been trying to get out of this world forever. And many people have succeeded. There are many, many, many. Millions of enlightened beings over a long period of time. Many more than you ever imagined. We only hear of a few here and there. But compared to the general population, almost nobody. There's 8 billion souls out there. There's probably maybe only 1 or 2 million enlightened people on the planet. Why? Simply because the rest of them are not qualified. These people were qualified. Now, how does it work? How did they determine whether you're qualified to understand this or not? They just simply did this. They looked, because there's a huge body of literature about enlightened people. You can read most of you have read the stories of these enlightened people. And so the knowledge of what kind of people they were, right, was slowly gained over the years. And they found that all enlightened people had certain qualities of mind and heart, and had a certain way of seeing the world. They all had that same way of seeing the world, and they all had certain qualifications of mind and heart. We're going to talk about what those qualifications are next. And they looked at the billions of people over the centuries that have been trying to get enlightened, who didn't get enlightened, and they discovered that some of those qualities, either all of them or some of them, were lacking in those people. It was a no-brainer. It was easy. If you have these qualities, then you can get enlightenment. If you don't, then you can't. That's all. And it's not your fault, mind you. If you're not qualified, don't go blaming yourself. Oh my God, I'm a bad person. There's something wrong with me. I can't get enlightened. I'm not good. Or they're so mean. They make kind of qualifications. Why can't they just give enlightenment to everybody? No. You can develop the qualifications. We're going to talk about that, how to do that. Yoga and all the last half of the teaching is all about how you can qualify yourself, how you can develop yourself so that you can understand. And all that qualification involves is what? Preparing the mind in a certain way. Now, what are those qualifications? So I need a means of knowledge. That I need a teacher to teach that means of knowledge. I'm not going to teach myself. You can't get it by reading books. You read books all day long, and what will happen? Your ignorance of who you are will interpret the meaning of the words incorrectly. You read the scripture, and your ignorance will be reading the scripture alongside of you, and you won't, understand what's actually being said. You will twist it. You won't do it automatically. You won't do it consciously. You won't consciously try to misunderstand. Ignorance will just cause you to misunderstand. It's not your fault. Don't blame yourself. But ignorance is working. Even when you think it's not working, it's working. It's all the time going on, all the time. So it needs to be taught to me. I need to have a valid means of knowledge, and Vedanta is proven. This teaching started like 4,000, 5,000 years ago, even maybe before, we don't know. It's still going today. Just the same. It hasn't changed for like all those years. Why? It doesn't need to change. Because it does the job. Because it works. That's why it doesn't. Yeah. Anything that works will stay. Like you've got a wheel. Are you going to invent a new wheel? Does anybody want to invent a new wheel? No, nobody's working on a new wheel because what? The wheel's been invented and it works. Huh?
Out of composites, different.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But the idea of wheel. Huh? And the realization of a wheel's perfected. There are all kinds of ways you can change it. You know, the physical structure of the wheel, but the idea of the wheel is perfect. It works. It gets you from here to there. And the same is true with this. This will take you to here. Because there's no distance between you and this. The only distance is ignorance. See? And these teachings remove ignorance. Now, what are the qualifications? What is it that qualifies me to know who I am? We have to explain. Again, I'm not telling you this to try to make you feel small or bad or unqualified, but I have to tell the truth. See? That's what the teaching requires. Okay. So what is the first qualification? Vivekaha. Viveka means discrimination. Okay? Discrimination. Now, what is discrimination? You use discrimination every day. All the time you're using discrimination because you have an intellect. The intellect is that part of you that determines, that chooses between options and makes up its mind and does things. That's called the intellect. And that's the power of discrimination. Everybody has that. Should I eat an apple or should I eat an orange? I can choose. I can choose to take an apple, I can choose to take an orange. I have free will within that system. That's discrimination. Should I go live in a yoga ashram or should I get a job at the local beer factory? What? Huh? I have a choice. I can go to the ashram and apply there. I can go get a job in the brewery and make beer. Every day, every minute, should I brush my teeth or not brush my teeth? I have a choice. That's called discrimination. I can choose. And normally, all of our discrimination is what? Used choosing between various options and objects in the Maya world, in the samsara. That's all we do. Should I go here or should I go there? Should I do this or should I do that? The discrimination we're talking about is a discrimination between yourself and the objects appearing in you. It's the same discrimination, but what? It's applied to what? These two topics, these two facts. Awareness, consciousness, myself, and the objects appearing in it. It's separate, knowing the difference between what? Who I am and what the objects are. Now you think, oh, that's easy. No, it's not easy. You know why it's not easy? Because of superimposition. Sorry, use big words. I have to just tell. Superimposition just means confusion. Because ignorance confuses me with the objects. I think I'm my body. I think I'm my feelings. I think I'm my beliefs. I think I'm my thoughts. I think I'm my experiences, and so forth and so on. There is actually no connection between me and them. I'm actually free of them. But I think that they're me. So to break that attachment, that identification with the objects, what do I have to do? I have to discriminate myself from the objects. So that every time a choice is there, I choose awareness, I don't choose what? The object. And all of these people that gain enlightenment have that power to discriminate themselves from the objects. Sometimes they call it detachment or non-attachment. See, that's what I had. That's a qualification. If I'm just choosing between things in samsara, fair enough. Go ahead. But you'll certainly never get out of samsara by choosing different options here. You have to choose to opt out of samsara. And therefore take your attention away from the objects and put it back on what? On yourself. Over and over and over again. That's discrimination. The second qualification is called vairagyam. V-I-G-R-A-Y-A. Vairagya, not Viagra. Vairagya. It means dispassion. Dispassion. Dispassion is defined in this way. Indifference to the results of my actions. Bad idea, right? Indifference to the results of my actions. Now, who is indifferent to the results of their actions? Who is?
We get taught in yoga classes in karma yoga. In selfless service, you are detached to the outcomes of your actions.
Well, that's right. Yeah, if you're a karma yogi, then you're indifferent to the results of your actions. Huh? Yeah, bhakti yoga is karma yoga, but that's right. But Mr. Ego, that you were going to learn that, aren't we? The reason we're taking up karma yoga is because we're not. We are attached to the results of our actions, aren't we? We're going to break that attachment to the results of action by practicing karma yoga. Isn't it? Now, so dispassion, if you're dispassionate, you don't have to, you're already a karma yogi. Because a dispassionate person is somebody who what? Is indifferent to the results of their action. Well, that's a very strange person, isn't it? Huh? That's a very, very unusual person. Because everybody I know really cares about getting what they want. And if they don't get what they want, they get angry. Or they get depressed. Isn't it? If you get angry or depressed when you don't get what you want, then it means what? You're attached to the results of your actions. That's all. So dispassionate people, they're not angry people. They're calm people. They're very clear-minded. They're very peaceful. They're calm people. They do what they do, but they know that the results are not up to them. The results are up to whatever the results are up to. We'll talk about that later when we talk about karma yoga. And dharma, karma and dharma. When we talk about those, then we'll talk about who is the giver of the results of the action. What is it that gives results? If the results are up to you, fine. Then you can care. But the results aren't up to you, and a dispassionate person knows that. You can do your actions, no doubt. You can influence results by doing your actions in an appropriate and timely way. But the results are not up to you. And so, who knows that is a dispassionate person. That's a great qualification. It's particularly important for moksha, for liberation. Why? Because there's many, many, many setbacks on this path. There are many obstacles and many frustrations. And if you're dispassionate, you'll take all that in stride. You'll be okay with that. You won't get upset, and you won't get depressed, and you won't get angry when you're not, where's my moksha? You won't get angry when you're not getting free. You'll just say, I understand there's some problems. I understand the results of actions are not up to me. I'll keep doing what I'm doing, and eventually I will prevail. So you're calm and compassionate and dispassionate.
Krishna Krishna